Bitcoin is down at one of its key support areas right now, and it makes complete sense that we start rallying up, yet I still think that we could be in a little bit of a trap. So all I want to do in this video is highlight for you some of the key things here, which I genuinely, seriously think that a lot of people are missing right now because it's not in their interest to consider these things. But here we go. This is really, really important. And if we start off by taking a look at the chart on the 1 hour time frame, I just want to highlight to you guys one key area on this chart which I think is really, really important. It is this $46,000 range, which is very, very clearly a resistance range at the moment, I would say, primarily because Bitcoin was using it as support for quite some time last month, if we measure, and actually into this year as well, because if we measure how long Bitcoin was using this area as support for, that time frame stretches 31 days, and if we count how many times we used it, it acted as support on 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 occasions, potentially 9 if you count these as 2, and then of course across the time frame of about 30 days as well. So Bitcoin has really made quite a lot of use of this range as support before eventually penetrating below it, which, by the way, was something that we were warning about on the YouTube channel. If you were subscribed back then, you're going to know all about that. So shout out to those of you who are watching every single one of these videos and supporting these videos. I do love you all very much. Thank you for that. You will see that, yeah, we were looking for this dump to happen, primarily because we were touching this area too much. And then I was saying, well, I'm targeting either 42,000, which is where we're finding resistance right now, or 40,000, which is where we bounced from. So that analysis happening to come out 100% correct, and I'm very, very happy with that. Actually, we found support at roughly around 42 there as well, but this now puts us below a critical range, and you're actually going to start seeing that on some of the slightly larger time frames. This is where a lot of the resistance is lurking in this market. If we take a look at the market here, it's pretty clear to see that the market is going to potentially see some resistance if we hit that range just in the next couple of days, and I think that's really important because this is going to really, put up a challenge for Bitcoin, in my opinion. If Bitcoin manages to rally up and it only encounters resistance like this before potentially seeing a drop back down, that's going to be challenging. That's not going to be something which is particularly easy to face, and to me, it is concerning. Now, we see other signs with, for example, the EMA ribbon. Now, the 4-hour EMA ribbon is quite large, a lot below this resistance area, but if we switch it on to the daily time frame, look at where that resistance lines up. It's this confluence which I think is really, really important. This is quite largely an empty range, in my opinion, anywhere kind of between 42 and 46. There isn't much trading that tends to happen in this range, and I want to prove that to you very quickly just by dropping a line at about 42.5 and then another line at the bottom of this box, and you'll just generally see that the price zips between these levels when it enters this range, right? Take a look at this. So on Bitcoin's very first occasion, it found resistance, cementing the importance of the 42k range, but as soon as we broke this level for the first time ever, the price zipped straight up to 46. We had a small fake out here, and then on this occasion the price dropped below 46 and nearly down to 42, and then on the next occasion all the way down. So very, very important clear price action here. Again, 42 acting as resistance, but the very instance that we break it, we zip all the way straight up. On this occasion, all the way down, all the way up, all the way down, all the way up, and for the price action here, all the way down and all the way up. Obviously, it just happens so quickly that we can't see it. That's really, really important because it gives us a little bit of information about the range that we're dealing with right now. I think this is a big deal because, yes, of course, Bitcoin can and I think should bounce up quite nicely from this area right here, but it's going to have so much resistance up ahead that no bounce is going to be meaningful until and unless Bitcoin can claw itself back above that 46k range, and ideally above 47, which is going to place it about at this yellow line right here. If Bitcoin can overcome that yellow line, then I think we're pretty good. Then we're showing a really, really good sign of strength, because that's the first major kind of resistance level that Bitcoin will have broken in this downtrend, and that would make me very, very optimistic. However, it hasn't quite happened yet, and there's something that I think is quite important, which you almost never hear me talking about, and Bitcoin hasn't even done this yet, and it has to do with my most hated indicator, the RSI. Now, you guys know I almost never use the RSI indicator. I think that it's one of the worst indicators that anyone can use in these markets, and that's primarily because it's so unreliable, right? Like, people learn it and they think that they understand what's going on, but it's actually a very difficult indicator to use properly. And I think a big part of that is because it's so simple at face value. But here's the thing: is the RSI ended up reaching oversold territory between this dump right here. Take a look at the RSI. My settings for oversold, by the way, are 30, and on the dump of the coronavirus market crash. If I switch this onto the logarithmic chart and drop another 2 vertical lines right here, and then if I just drop another vertical line where we are right now and where we could be going, I just want to highlight for you guys that on these big market reversals, the RSI did reach oversold territory. And it doesn't need to, right? Like, little corrections like this, RSI didn't hit oversold territory. You can see pretty clearly we actually just fell down to basically neutral levels and carried back on. But I think it's worth understanding within what kind of market this happened, right? This pullback happened inside of a bull market, so we don't need to drop down as low. This pullback happened inside of a much more bearish market, in my opinion, and the very same for this coronavirus market crash of 2020. And I think that's a really important note that I want to highlight and just draw to your attention, right? Bitcoin was in Bitcoin's in a similar state now to what it was in over here and what it was in over here. However, on this occasion, we just haven't seen the RSI dip down as low as before. The reason I'm highlighting this to you is the same reason that I don't like seeing what the fear and greed index is showing me right now. It's the same reason that in my previous video I was highlighting to you that search queries for buy the fucking dip on Google were at all-time highs right now, which is generally quite a bullish thing to be saying. If the market is dropping and people want to buy the dip, guess what? People aren't scared. People are still optimistic. That's just not what happens when people are scared in these markets, that they consider buying the dip. But here we are. We're in that kind of stage right now. And so one of the things that can really shake the market is when we see the relative strength index drop down, not because the relative strength index has dropped down, but because it's a measure of how weak the market is relative to where it was before. The primary reason I don't like the RSI indicator is because people don't understand it. But let me break it down for you. This is the relative strength index, and that means the strength that the market is at right now relative to where it was before, and in this case relative to the last 14 candles. And so if we look at the price action here, and this part is really, really important, if we look at the price action here and just analyze what the market was doing in the past 14 days, it was pretty bearish. Take a look at this. The market was doing some pretty bearish shit over the past 14 days, and so relative to where it was before, we are not at a huge position of weakness. That's really important, guys, because people genuinely get that fear of God struck in them when the market feels scary. But if we've just kind of been slowly slipping down over these days, it's not really going to achieve that. That's why we saw a bigger dip in the RSI on this occasion and a bigger dip in the RSI on this occasion. These dumps hit hard and they hit quickly. We are not in that same situation right now. It's just something to be aware of. I'm not saying that this is a reason that the market shouldn't rally up. It's not a cold hard rule that the market must reach oversold RSI levels. And actually, just to be completely accurate and to remain objective, we actually did dip into oversold territory on the RSI, but not by very much at all, and not enough for it to count, in my opinion. But it's worth putting it out there just so that I can keep my analysis as objective as possible. It's just a measure of where the market is in terms of its relative strength. And then, of course, the fear and greed index, for example, being a measure of where the market is in terms of sentiment. I think that that stuff is very important because given the fact that Bitcoin is facing quite a lot of resistance right now, it is hard for me to be super optimistic about where we are. I totally get it. We're at a great support level right now. That 40K range we've been bouncing off is absolutely phenomenal, but we're just, for me, we're not seeing good enough follow through. At the moment, this candle's going a little bit to the upside, which is absolutely fantastic, and I really hope that it proves me wrong. However, it's pretty clear that we have been facing a kind of parallel channel basically ever since we entered this range, which looks something a little bit like this. and it looks like we're just kind of, flicking in between the top and the bottom of the range, and occasionally we're getting breakouts to the downside. And this is something that's a really big deal. I actually made a video on it for VIPs only earlier today. You guys may or may not know about this, but I make VIP videos, trade breakdown videos. I actually just closed a small profit today, and I shared the information on that with VIPs earlier today. If you want to jump inside, follow these steps on screen to watch the full video. It was very, very informative. Of course, it doesn't come with any of the fluff either. It's not, a free video or anything like that. So I don't have any, motives to sell something, for example. And so those videos are always very, very dense and trimmed down. But definitely check it out if you want to gain access to it. It goes straight to the meat of the matter, and it tackles it very, very thoroughly. People who watched that video loved it. So check it out with the link in the description down below, clicking the @4flies button at the bottom of any post inside of 4flies Gold, and then send message if you want to get more content like this, but even more advanced and primarily focusing on the trading side. You guys hear me talk all about the analysis side on this YouTube channel because at the end of the day, I am an analyst, but even more than an analyst, I am a trader. The analysis helps me position myself in the market. The trading is where I actually make the money, and that is the side of this YouTube channel that nobody sees unless they're inside of VIP. So take a look at that. But one of the key things I did mention in that video, just to tease it, is that at first when we fell out of this range, Bitcoin managed to find support at $41,000, bang on the dot right there, 41k. The next time, and we fell down to 41 and we recovered quickly. The next time we fell below 41, down to the mid $40,000 range, but still we recovered quickly. But that is a sign of the market getting a little bit weaker. We set a low at 41 and then we swept that low. That is inherently bearish. The next time we fell again down to the mid $40,000 range, but we did not recover quickly. Not only did we dump slower, we also pumped up slower. And again, I just want to highlight to you what's going on with the volume. We're just not seeing a lot of volume in this market right now. To me, this is a sign that at first the market sets a low, it falls out of the range, that's already bad. Then it falls lower in that range, and then it falls lower in that range and takes longer to recover. It's just each time showing a slightly more bearish side of the market, in my opinion. And guess what's happening right now? We're about to encounter, we are encountering a resistance cloud on the 1 hour Ichimoku cloud, and this is a bloody big cloud. This cloud right now spans a price range of 5.4% or $2,300. And the last time we had such a big cloud was when the market was over here. And we also had a resistance cloud over here, which wasn't very big, but also offered quite a bit of resistance to Bitcoin. And just take a look at how successful this has been as resistance recently, right? It has been very, very powerful. Over here, we saw it acting as support just a little bit. Not so useful as resistance because, again, the cloud wasn't very thick. But just in this recent market here, pretty much since the very beginning of this year and the very end of last year, you can see quite clearly that this Ichimoku cloud would have allowed you to foresee some pretty large rejections. This was a 6% drop over here. This was a 5% drop over here. This drop, which I don't know if it counts because it's a pretty thin cloud, but fuck it, I'll include it anyway. This drop was a 9.5% drop. If we're going to see anything similar to that right now, and to be honest, it would make sense given the size of this Ichimoku cloud, well, that would put us below these lows right here. If Bitcoin drops by about 5%, which is a fairly conservative drop below this Ichimoku cloud just from its high right now, that is going to place Bitcoin at exactly the $40,000 level. We haven't reached there yet, and this is still well within our support zone, but my point is that in the short term, there's quite a lot of pressure mounting on Bitcoin. Of course, all of this comes with the major catch that actually Bitcoin right now is trading at a big support level. This support level that Bitcoin is at is the best support level that Bitcoin has until $30,000 in my opinion, and it seems the opinions of many, many others. So perhaps we just muck about in this range, trade sideways here for a week or two, just to make people feel absolutely fucking shit and then the market rallies up again. One of the things I want to draw your attention to is that, generally what we'll have at market bottoms is a little bit of accumulation. Sometimes it doesn't happen, right? If you look at the coronavirus market crash of 2020, we didn't get any sort of accumulation range when the market dropped down to $3,000 right here. It just fell down and rallied right back up the very next day. I think that's because it was a very extreme sell-off. When we have less extreme sell-offs, still pretty large, but less extreme sell-offs, it's pretty common to enter, a largely kind of, sideways trading range. And obviously this one is comprised of, two trading ranges, if I want to be more accurate about it. The first one looking something a little bit like this, and the second one looking something a little bit like this, where, a lot of people are, busy accumulating Bitcoins at a good average entry level. Let's say an average entry level of 37,000, and over here, an average entry level of, bear with me, 33,500. Pretty good entry levels if, and if we take an average of those two, that's a pretty good entry level if you see Bitcoin rallying up to this high at 53 or its all-time high at 69. So that's important to keep note of, as we generally do see markets entering these kind of accumulation phases where, big smart players are slowly buying up Bitcoin so as to not pump up the market too high. Because, one of the key things you hear me talking about on this channel quite a lot is that in these rallies, and people hate me saying this, but fucking hell, I hope you listen to me now that we've dropped. And I've been saying this the whole time as well, by the way. Again, if you're subscribed, you'll know all about it. When these markets are rallying the way they do, they're not moving up because there's some super huge increase in buying pressure. They're only moving up because there's no selling pressure. And my proof of that is just by looking at the volume. You would see a significant surge in the volume moving average if what I'm saying is false. But you're not. You're not seeing any meaningful change in this volume moving average, this orange line. You're not seeing any meaningful change whatsoever in the volume while the price shoots the fuck up. And this is a big price increase, right? From low to high. Bitcoin rallied up by 70% in, about 30 days. That is absolutely enormous. But what does the volume say? Absolutely fuck all. The volume doesn't indicate anything about the trend at all. And that is your evidence right there that people are not buying Bitcoin. People are buying Bitcoin, but not that many people are buying Bitcoin. It's just that nobody is selling. And so as soon as that selling pressure comes back in the market, and you don't need much because there's not a very high baseline demand anyway, the market drops. Another way of saying that is as soon as more liquidity enters the market, the buying pressure cannot support it. And of course, that's why we see these big drops. But that's also why we see these accumulation zones, because it's very well known that if you want to buy a large amount of Bitcoin and you have very deep pockets, you're just going to send the market flying if you buy it irresponsibly. So you must buy it slowly. You must dollar cost average. And that's what forms these accumulation zones. And so that's another thing that I want to put on your radar just now while we are going through the motions in this market and taking everything as it comes, because I do think that that is something we could be looking at right now. I would love to say that Bitcoin just sparks an uptrend, but I'm seeing this really irresponsible sentiment in the market that everything goes in a straight line down and a straight line up, and that is just not how it works. I saw an interesting tweet from a guy called Donald on Twitter, which I completely agree with. He took the words right out of my mouth, it feels like, is that, in these markets, people act like, we're in a bear market of like 2018, and I can understand why people are saying that, but that doesn't mean that, we move down in a straight line. There was a lot of pumps to the upside here, right? Take a look at this. This was a 100% increase in Bitcoin's price in a downtrend. We have big volatility in downtrends. That's why I'm not worried as a trader. That's why VIP is behind me are not worried as traders, because we still get that volatility. And actually, it can be far easier to trade in bear markets like that because people become a lot more predictable with their psychology, which of course makes my life a lot easier as a trader. Over here, a 53% pump. Over here, still a 40% pump. This is enormous, guys. On 2x leverage, you've nearly doubled your money. On 5x leverage, you've tripled your money. This is absolutely enormous price action right here. Even the smallest pump that Bitcoin got in this trend is still a 24% move to the upside, and it happens within the space of about 20 days. Guys, 24% upside price action on 5 times leverage, 4 times leverage. you've already doubled your money. This is enough volatility to make a shitload of money, and it's the smallest move that happens in the whole of 2018 minus the big crash, which of course we traded inside of 𝗪flies VIP, and I made a 60% gain on that as well, because we've been around for some time. We even traded this breakout to the upside, and I made a 360% gain right here, which was absolutely fantastic trading that upside. Of course, this was only on, you know, a partial amount of my position. I had closed a lot of it much earlier on because I didn't know the position would work out that amazingly, but that was still very, very fun. And the reason that I'm bringing this up is, you know, a lot of people think that you know, we just have lightsaber candles moving up and down, and that is just not how it works. It's just unrealistic, and I'm here to tell you what is realistic, so I can ground you guys and we can have a much more sober outlook on the market. So there you go. I'm still seeing quite a lot of pressure for Bitcoin. I'm seeing Bitcoin being in an essential support area right now, but I'm not seeing any signs that the market starts reversing up right now. You know, I will let you know as soon as I see them. I am looking for them because it makes a lot of sense to me that Bitcoin has a macro reversal in the trend right now. Whether that means we have a big, you know, pump to, let's say, 60k, which, you know, it would be a 45-50% pump to the upside, and then we continue dropping back down, or we just go right back up to new all-time highs. Whatever the deal is, I think that we're due for something like that. It's just that, you know, the market will generally display signs of that, you know, happening before it does, and it hasn't done that yet. So that is something I am looking for. Anyway, guys, I hope you have enjoyed this video. You know exactly what to do. If you have, hit up the likes, subscribe, tick the bell, do all that good stuff. You got $4,100 waiting to land in your wallet by following the link in the description down below and signing up to Bybit, using my link down there, signing up to Bybit and making your first ever Bitcoin deposit. If you already have an account, you can make a brand new one. This is the only exchange that I use, and I absolutely love it to bits. I've been using it for years. I've been working with them for years, and it is the only place I'm comfortable keeping my money and trading Bitcoin and so on. So definitely check it out. And then, of course, if you do want to join 𝗪flies VIP, bam, these are the steps on screen. The first link is going to take you to my free Telegram channel, where you get even more free analysis just like this, pinged straight to your phone from myself and my team. So if you like what we're putting out here and you want more of it for free, that's how you gain access to it. And then at the bottom of any post inside of that channel, go ahead and click send message and ask me how to join VIP, and we'll get you all that information as well. You know what to do. Like, subscribe, tick the bell, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye bye.